Well, here we are. We're back for episode 2 of Built Not Motivated. Today I'm going to bring you 5 reasons on why beginners often quit. And this episode isn't specifically for beginners, it's also for people who have dabbled in fitness and maybe they fall off the wagon and they get into it, here and there, a couple times throughout the year and just find themselves going in a loop. And hopefully this will help negate some of that. But real quick before we jump into the episode, huge shout out to everybody who reached out to me with positive feedback. It does help me think that this is going to be successful, and I don't mean in a monetary value. I mean in a way that it's going to genuinely help people get out of a rut or turn their life around in no matter what aspect that they struggle in, whether it is, fitness or addiction or just, mentally, stuff like that. So I'm going to continue to do these episodes, and I am definitely open to criticism. It doesn't matter what kind. I shouldn't say I'm open to criticism. I am open to criticism. I'm open to feedback, whether it's good or bad. Hopefully it's not strictly criticism. That would suck. But if it is, the only place to go from there is up. And I guess that kind of goes with this whole podcast, right? If you're low, if you're in a low spot, the only spot to go is up, right? So huge shout out. Let's go ahead and get into the 5 reasons why beginners often quit. Number 1 is that they set unrealistic expectations. And the biggest thing I see with setting unrealistic expectations is when you see online fitness coaches or influencers, whoever it may be, people with really nice bodies who are young and fit and are looking to make a buck, right? They try to sell their programs as lose 20 pounds in 30 days, right? Is that an unrealistic expectation? Absolutely. Can it be done? Maybe if you fast for 30 days and you dehydrate yourself and all these stupid things that are not sustainable. But overall, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Or something like shred fat fast. Okay, V-Shred is known for this, right? What they do, because I fell victim to it, is they sell you this program, they try to get you signed up, and what they do is they sell you supplements, and their whole thing is them saying you can eat all the junk food you want, all you have to do is just take this pill, right? That is unrealistic. That's not going to happen. There's not a magic pill that, or like a fat burner that they sell that is going to let you eat as much as you want, whenever you want, no matter how high in fat and how shitty it is, that is going to help you lose fat. Now, obviously there's appetite suppressors, but that is not V-Shred's specific goal, right? And another one is like total body transformation in, we'll say, 6 weeks, right? When I lost probably, when I first started, I probably lost, I don't know, like 10 pounds in the first 6 weeks, maybe 12 pounds. Is that a total body transformation? No, absolutely not. Because it would only take me 10 days of eating like a complete ass to gain back those 10 or 12 pounds. 100%. Now, is losing 10 or 12 pounds in 6 weeks, is that a good jump starter for success? Maybe, but that's not the point of their program, right? These things, they try to get you, they try to sell you on unrealistic goals in the shortest amount of time. And that is, they do make money on that. And that is truly what their whole motto is to get as many people to buy an unrealistic program as possible. And that's not sustainable, right? Which brings us to number 2, which is doing too much too fast. So to piggyback off of number 1, doing too much too fast, what that does is it completely ruins the system, as we spoke about in episode 1. When you do too much too fast, you often get fatigued. And I don't mean physically fatigued, but obviously that does happen. I mean mentally fatigued. You are changing everything up. You're changing new workouts, new diet, new schedule, new sleep routine. You're cutting out all of the bad food at once, and you're overtraining, obviously, by doing too much too fast. So what you want to do is, if you're a beginner and say you do work out on an occasion, right? You're familiar with the gym equipment and you've been a member for a year or so. You know the workouts that you like, and you know the workouts that you probably don't like, but you know that they would be beneficial to you. Like most of us guys, it's legs, right? So when I first started, I had one leg day. And the reason that I did that was because I had 4 days of various upper body, and one of those upper body or push days, whichever one it was, I would incorporate one leg exercise into. And then later in the week, I would have a day specific for, I believe it was abs and legs. So getting started on that, it helped me get less fatigued physically, and not, because this way I was able to do, my cardio, my running and my stair stepper and my HIIT exercises didn't diminish because my legs were sore, right? And I just hated legs because I never worked them, so I was always going to be sore no matter when I started doing them, right? So by being able to slowly implement legs into my weekly rotation, that was the best thing for me. That helped me get a kickstart, and it did help with my cardio sessions, it did help me kind of get used to working out and doing the same thing week upon week. Because if I would have done legs, like 2 hardcore leg days in a week, I would have been like, I hate this. This system sucks. I'm gonna be done with it, right? Luckily, that was not the case. Another thing is new diet. When I first started, I would eat these breaded chicken nuggets and chicken tenders from Sam's Club. They're called Just Bear Chicken. And are they bad? No. Are they good? Not necessarily. For the calories I was in, they were fine. But the more you start to deduct calories from your daily intake, the harder that food was for me to fit into my diet. So being able to start slow and going from eating way too much of that, and being able to ease into a healthier form of chicken, obviously straight from the chicken. And my go-to is chicken breast because it's got the highest amount of protein per calories, and I just love smoking chicken. Like there ain't nothing better to me. That and yellow potatoes. But when I first started, I was doing like tater tots because I was like, oh sweet potatoes, and I was doing the breaded chicken because I was like, oh sweet chicken. I'm eating chicken and potatoes. Yeah and no. Obviously no because it's way too processed. Obviously, and going to the Whole Foods, it it transitioning to that transitioning from the breaded chicken and tater tots to um, chicken breast and whole potatoes, yellow potatoes, really put it into perspective, and it really helped me succeed in the long run because I started slow with it. I was eating, so I guess I did miss this part. I was eating that meal like 7 times a week, right? Now, then when I got on the diet, I got on my cut and I started everything. I was only eating it like 3 times. And eventually I wasn't eating it all, right? I was eating pretty much chicken breast and yellow potatoes. And people are like, oh, that's so plain and boring. Well, I mean, maybe if you don't cook it right. I love it. I could eat it every single day. And I did eat it every single day, but it's not because I was forcing myself to eat something I didn't like, which I will never do. I will never eat a food that I absolutely hate just to lose weight. I think that is ridiculous. So having a new diet, like you gotta start slow and you gotta implement things, implement old things you did with the new things, right? So just starting slow, eating a couple bad things is not going to kill you. It's not going to ruin your progress. But eventually, if depends how strict you want to be, you're going to have to cut those things out. But doing it all at once is not a recipe for success. I would say the biggest thing, it's not even a new workout or a new diet. It's actually going to be a new schedule. A lot of us, we have kids and, we have full-time jobs and we have obligations. Well, starting off going balls to the wall, like I had mentioned earlier, um, is is a bad system, right? So you have your schedule, you have your normal schedule without doing any workouts, no workout regimen whatsoever, right? And when you start to implement a new routine, you start slow. This way, you get used to having this new time designation for specific things. So for me, like I had mentioned before, 60 minutes of cardio was my weekly goal. 8,000 steps was my weekly goal, and I was working out 7 times a week, but I don't think I was supposed to. I think I was only supposed to be working out 5, but I didn't really care. I wanted to succeed, and I'm kind of a head case. So when I put my mind to something, it's either 100% or nothing at all. Um, but I was able to slowly incorporate scheduling stuff out, my cardio and my steps, like I had mentioned earlier, um, to basically make a new schedule. And as things got easier with getting my 8,000 steps, I was able to up the ante a little bit. And things got easier with managing my time for cardio. I was able to up the time a little bit, right? I'm gonna go back to cutting out all of the bad food out at once. Um, when we first started, once or twice a week, we would still go out to eat. I mean, we lived in a pretty big town. Well, I guess what I would consider a big town, and there's so many food options around. Like it's Who Hot or it's a sports bar or something like that. Well, those things are good on an occasion. You just have to be careful, right? You can eat those things, but you shouldn't be overindulging. You shouldn't be eating. So say your calories are 2,200 for a day. Well, if I go to Who Hot, I can easily down 6,000 calories in one meal. Well, that is basically 3 days. And the reason why you don't want to overdo it on like have a cheat day is because every single thing that you eat for that day negated all your progress through the whole week. So if you have an extra 6,000 calories in that day, well, you spread that out over the 6 other days, that's an extra 1,000 calories per day. You're probably out of maintenance, or you're probably in a little bit of a bulk at that point. It depends how far along in your program you are, right? So start slow, but don't overdo it, right? Don't cut everything out at once, but also if you're not going to cut everything out at once, then don't just go too ham on it, right? Don't go too banana sandwich. You want to take it easy. And then overtraining. Overtraining is one thing that I see people do. They're feeling good. They're in the gym. They're hammering it home, and what they think is that they need to prove to themselves that they belong in the gym, and they're either ego lifting, or they're lifting too long, or they're not letting their body rest in between sets. Like they're doing supersets on literally everything when you're not taking your proper rest. And then you get too fatigued, both mentally and physically, and then you just fall off the wagon because now you're sore for 4 days and you don't want to go back to the gym because you absolutely hate it. And it's not fair to yourself because you have a system in place and you want to follow the system, but you pushed yourself a little too hard and now you failed the system, right? Number 3 is having a perfection mentality. And the first thing, excuse me, the first thing that came to my mind when I was writing this out was 75 hard. And I don't personally have anything against 75 hard. I've done it. I 100% could do it again, but I basically do it every day except for the second 45-minute workout because it's not in my program. It's not in my routine. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So for those of you who aren't familiar with 75 hard, Andy Frischella, who came up with this, he stated that it's not a workout program, it's not a fitness program, it's a mentality or a habit building program. And for 75 days, you have to read 10 pages, you do 2 workouts, one is outside, one has to be outside, and the other one can be outside, it doesn't have to be. And you can't drink alcohol, stick to a diet, and I don't know if like 8,000 steps is in there, can't quite remember. But that's the basis of it, right? And so the caveat is if you don't complete one of those things that I mentioned, then you have to start back at day 1. The next day, you got to start back. So say you make it 3 days or 56 days, whatever. If you don't drink your gallon of water, which is one that I forgot, if you don't drink your gallon of water, say you drink 3/4 of a gallon, the rules state you got to start over. And the problem I have with that is it makes you feel like you're a failure and you failed the system, when in fact the system failed you because there's no leeway, right? It doesn't let you account for the bad days. It erases the the one-off meal or the one-off plan meal, right? So if you stick to your diet every day and you want to go have a piece of cake for your kid's birthday or whatever, it's like, oh well, I'm doing 75 hard, I can't. That's ridiculous. That doesn't build good habits. What builds good habits is letting yourself have leeway. And I like I said, I don't have a problem with 75 hard, but the problem I have is for beginners, strictly beginners, it's it's not a good way to start off your quote unquote fitness journey. Um, Now, if you're somebody who works out often and you already read and you just you want to build those little extra habits, yeah, 75 hard is probably good for you. You can probably do it. Is it perfect? No. Um, but there is a specific person and a specific time in your life, probably, that you can do it and maybe even should do it. Um, but not setting unrealistic goals, but having a perfection mentality, it it really brings you down. It truly does. And the reason I say that is because if you're killing it, say you've gone 4 weeks and or you've gone 28 days in the 75 hard program and you want to do something nice for yourself because you've been killing it. Now, if you have one drink with the boys or you have a cherry pie, technically you fail. You fail 75 hard. Doesn't matter how strict you've been, right? That's failing. And if you set a realistic expectation to give yourself leeway and have those breaks, then that's a successful system, right? Um, Number four, not having any accountability or having somebody there who can give you feedback. This one might be the biggest one and the most important for me because when I had somebody there to be like, all right, you're killing it. You just keep pushing, keep doing what you're doing. Like, it does help mentally. And when there's a system in place that allows you to have leeway in the system, or there's a coach or an accountability partner that is there for you in your corner to give you the, I don't want to say motivation because that defeats the purpose of episode 1 and this whole podcast. Excuse me. But if you have somebody there to lead you in the right direction and make sure that you are going down the correct path and someone to help you out when you're struggling, that means more than the other three. I'll stand by that actually, because if you're lone wolfing it and you're doing everything by yourself and nobody is there to physically see your results, aside from you maybe taking a progress picture once every week, if that's the only thing you see, that's probably not enough. You need somebody there to help you when when you're not doing the stuff, if you're not going out of your way to do that stuff, if you're not sticking to your schedule, if you're not sticking to your plan, you need somebody there to be like, hey, get your ass in gear, let's get going. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to listen to them. That accountability partner or a coach or whoever it is that's giving you feedback, they play just as big of a role in changing as you do. And that's why you see people who go to, we'll say, like AA. Like people go to AA. There's a big group, right? All those people, they have a sponsor, right? So that's their accountability partner. And it's just somebody there who is always there to talk to you. Typically, you see this in like a gym partner or a spouse, typically a spouse. Um, and those people are the best way to help you succeed is keeping you accountable and keeping you in check and making sure that you truly do stick to your plan. The fifth thing is, don't hate me for this, it's not very exciting. It is relying on motivation and not having a system. Now, look, I know what you're going to say. That's bullshit. You already had a whole episode on this. You're right. It's because I believe that it is that important. I do believe having a system is one of the most beneficial things to help you succeed. And that's why people have calendars and why people have routines and why, XYZ, like you name it. Um, and I'm not going to go too deep in the woods with this, but go back and listen to episode 1 if you have questions. Cody, I'm sure you're listening. He asked me, I'm calling you out. He asked me, well, how do you find motivation every day to do it? Dude, did you not listen to episode 1? Follow your system. It's not about motivation. Go back and listen to it again. 5 was kind of a cheap one. I'll throw a little extra one in there as a bonus. All right. And this one is that you just don't care enough, right? Every missed workout that you intentionally don't either put effort towards or you miss, it feels like a failure and you just simply don't care. Going along with that is you're doing it because someone basically told you to or you don't want to. It doesn't matter if you have a system or not. If you're not going to put forth the effort and if you don't care, nothing else matters at that point. You have to be able to care. And for most people, it's financially. So having a little bit of skin in the game financially is when people actually start to care the most. For me, it was financially, and I cared about getting my body right and my mind right. Right. So if I cared in 2003, 2004, I would have not gotten myself in the mess I was in, right? I just simply didn't care. And here's something I've actually never told anybody. And then I'll follow it up with something I'm very embarrassed about, but I've told a handful of people here lately. First one is that one day, and I think it was in 2024, sorry. I was at the gym and halfway through my workout, I just got up and left. I don't know what got over me, but my mentality was that I'm going to be this way forever. I had been killing myself in the gym. I was getting frankly, I was getting fatter. And I wasn't able to do any extra cardio. And I just went home like 30 minutes into my workout. And I don't know why. Except for the only thing I could think about is this, I just didn't care. I do remember that day thinking that I was just going to be like this forever because nothing was working. And I thought I was doing all the right things, and I just simply wasn't. And, that just goes to show those those things I spoke about early in the podcast, when you mix all them together and you care, it shows that you will succeed. You will 100% succeed. Nobody's going to stop you. You're not going to stop yourself if you just start caring. And all right, I'm done with that one. Another thing is when before I started to care, or right when I started to care, this is the reason why I actually started to care. We'll say it that way. And I had an app for my laser engraving stuff, and I put one of my progress pictures, because everybody's got those progress pictures on their phone just to show how far they can go, right? Mine were all the same. I had about 20, and I looked exactly the same over about 3 years. And I put one of those pictures in an AI generator, and it was something like strength or strong or something like that, right? And the AI ended up putting out or generating an image of me with abs and a pretty big chest and arms, right? And I thought to myself, how freaking embarrassing is this that I have to go to an AI generator app, an AI editor app, just to see what I would look like with abs. And I looked at it and I said, screw it. I can do that. I know I can do that. And that is the moment that I started to care. Because looking at that image and, looking at my family, people, like, and I'm not saying like abs and, like a six pack or whatever, big chest, big arms, like that's probably not a goal for most people. It doesn't have to be, right? Making small changes and being better than you were yesterday is what matters. And the people who care the most will succeed far more than people who obviously just don't give a shit. But that was the moment for me that I actually started to care, because it was embarrassing and I didn't want to be embarrassed anymore. And I'm not like trying to get too touchy-feely and emotional, but like when you have things like that completely flip and change your mentality and make you want to get on the right path, that is huge. Sometimes it's a conversation with a spouse or a parent or a sibling, a child, a best friend, someone who you love and who you trust. Most of the time it's that. But for me, it was embarrassment. And I had a conversation strictly just with myself, not in a weird way, but I had to sit down and legitimately look myself in the mirror and force myself to care, because it was embarrassing. So, now that we're done with that, for beginners and people who are starting off, simplify your approach for the next week. Say you're consistently falling off. Say your program that you made yourself, the goals you set for yourself, they're starting to become, they're unrealistic. You're having too many bad days. Reel it back a little bit. Say your steps are at 12,000. Say you're consistently getting, we'll say 9,000. All right? Well, rather than having such a big gap in your steps at the end of the day, having 3,000 steps left to do, reel it back. Drop your goal to 10,000. That's a lot more easy to get at the end of the day, and it'll prove to yourself that when you have 9,000 steps left, you can go walk for 20 minutes or whatever, however long it takes you, to get those steps that you can do it, right? If you're working out 5 times a week, but you're not really getting too much out of it, reel it back one day, maybe even 2 days. Maybe you only do 3 workouts a week. And if so with those 5 workouts that you're doing now, if you think it's too much and you're torturing yourself, well, reel it back a little bit. Have those small wins. You need those small wins to succeed. And that goes for everything in life, right? And then ask yourself, what is one workout habit that you can implement? And what is one nutrition habit that you can implement this week as well? So for me, my workout habit, I'm still going to go with my January. So January being 1 and the date being point oh whatever. So I run 1 mile, and then so on the 11th it'll be 1.11 miles. Yeah, I am feeling a little sick, so I did change it up a little bit the last couple days. I didn't do it on the 9th, and then on the 10th, I actually implemented and I did 109 push-ups for January 9th, and then I did 110 air squats for January 10th. So some sort of variation like that. Allow yourself to have the flexibility, but still make it a habit. And then one nutrition habit this week is I'm going to eat more fruits and vegetables. I am on the up and up. I'm no longer trying to lose weight. So I have more carbs to eat, basically, for energy and muscle growth and, all that good stuff, right? So what I want to do is eat more fruits and vegetables, more specifically more fruits. Because right now I'm eating a lot of bread and a lot of noodles, right? So trying to get away from that. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with eating that stuff. I just need to implement more fruits and vegetables because it lacks in my diet, and it always has. Fruits are a lot of work to cut up. Maybe I'll just do like apples and grapes or something a little easy, And then the last thing, one behavior that you can do even on your worst days. If you always say you got a couple of dogs or you got a dog, and no matter what, you take them for a walk every single day. Awesome. Do that. Keep doing that. If that becomes second nature to you, or if it already is second nature to you, don't do that. Find a new habit. Something simple, something easy, maybe not something that takes so much time, but just find something that you can do even on your absolute worst days. And that'll become a habit for the rest of your life. I know a lot of people have problems with protein intake. Well, if you only want to eat 120 grams of protein, do that. That should be the absolute minimum that I feel anybody should be eating on a daily basis. So if getting protein is a struggle, try 120 grams of protein. If you're consistently only getting like 40 or 50, you really need to up it up, and 120 is a good goal. I often hear people struggle with protein, and I would say it doesn't really matter what kind of protein. Just try to keep the barcodes to a minimum. Obviously, chicken breast, when you buy it from the store, it has barcodes. You know what I mean. So don't eat as much processed foods and try to get healthy forms of protein first. And if you can't, then obviously backfall on that. What I do is when I'm in a pinch, I drink 30 milligrams of a bucked up, or I have a protein shake. Just those types of things, right? And another one that a lot of people incorporate is steps. So just walking for an extra 10 minutes. One of my buddies, after listening to episode 1, he started walking during his breaks. So that was his habit that he is implementing. So try that. Even on his worst days, he gets out there and he walks. He wants the fresh air when he can, but during his breaks, he'll walk through the hallways, right? All right. So I think that's all I got for you guys. So yeah, those are the five reasons why beginners often quit, and it's not just for fitness. This is also in everyday life. So if you know somebody who could use a helping hand, share this podcast with them. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. But be intentional with it, please. Don't just start sending this to everybody you know. Be like, oh, hey, check out my buddy's podcast. No, that's not the goal. Send it to people who need it, right? Or somebody who you think would benefit from this. Now, obviously, the more the merrier. But maybe some people don't need it. And the last thing I want to do is annoy people or come off as preachy, right? So please be intentional. Share this with people who you think might benefit from it. And that's all I got. So once again, Keefe Williams, online fitness coach, lost 55 pounds. And so if you're wondering why I speak about these things, it's because I've been there. And everything that I talk about has been a personal experience for me. So I'm not out here just, making this up or thinking about it on the fly. These are things that are real and true to me in my life. So that's where I come from. And I guess we'll see everybody in episode 3. Thanks. Goodbye.